today, and also those are the discussants. Welcome, sir.
Good morning. Pastor always wants me on the pulpit with him. Now that Pastor Sivas is not here, so that's why he called me out this morning. But I bring you greetings from the Mountain Life Committee, and we are glad to have Dr. Abaya in our midst, at least before he travels for some rest. And we are also glad that you are here, so you are welcome today. Okay, today is June 16, 2019. Our topic is something that is very, very much cognizant in our society. We want to talk about depression, a force against families in God's new plan. And in order to achieve this, we have a goal. And our goal is bringing awareness of the danger of depression, a silent killer in our community. And you all would agree with me, right? I saw a caption somewhere the other day and I liked it. Snapper, not the juice. Our aim is to relieve how parents, spouses, and children are pushing each other vis-a-vis to depression, to restore healthy family relationships in the light of God's new plan, and to create a stabilizing plan for families' coping mechanism. And our format for today is Open Map, and I know you love that because you will have a lot of time to ask your questions. But in order to help me do this, I want to invite Dr. Joshua Ghani and Ms. Kutek Yakubu. Now, these are the specialists. I am just going to sit here and listen like you. And if anything, you will need to ask them. Okay, so while they are sitting, let me go quickly to try to introduce the topic we have today. But I want to give you a quote. God never lets you down, but people do. And this is one very fine writer. If you haven't read Francine Roberts, you need to get a book on her. Very good writer. So in order to do this, in the next 4-5 minutes, I pray, I want to tell you a story. And the story is told by Josh Nadoa and then Bob Costa of a beautiful, sweet, loving, and cheerful young girl named Fumi, who was 17 years old at the time. She had been dating Yusuf. Now, original names had changed to suit our context. Yusuf and Fumi dated for 8 months and broke up with talk over the phone. The following Monday, Fumi sat where she and Yusuf had eaten lunch together since last September. Her friends sat with her. I say, you are better off without him, Tosin said. Yea, agreed Mariam. You guys fought all the time anyway. I hear Truman and Jacob just broke up. Offered Judy with an excitement and smile. You've always had a crush on him, haven't you? Fumi did not answer. She thought they had all had many boyfriends. However, Yusuf was my first real boyfriend, and I had entertained fantasies about marrying him ever since we started dating. When they first started going out, Fumi had made up her mind to be everything Yusuf wanted. She lost a little weight and began dressing with him in mind. She tried so hard to please him. If he showed the slightest pleasure in something she did or said, she she will work to do more of the sin. Let me give you a break. So I have a quote for you. Often, trust begins on the far side of despair. And that quote, is by Branham Manning. So when the relationship became more physical, intimate, she determined to give Yusuf anything, everything. They began having sex after 6 months of being together. When Yusuf broke up with her, Fumi couldn't believe it. She cried and begged him not to leave her. She told him she changed. She'd do anything he wanted, but he refused. Her first reaction was anger. After all I've done to make him happy, she thought, then her anger turned inward. I did everything I know how to do, and it still wasn't enough. I must be totally worthless. I will never have a man love me. I don't deserve to have a man love me. Over the next few weeks, Fumi started spending more time alone in her room. She seldom went out with her friends, but preferring instead to stay home, listening to music, and stare at the bedroom walls. She found it difficult to eat, and after a few weeks of having trouble getting to sleep, she began to sleep most of the day, both in class and at home. She began to miss school frequently, and her grades plummeted. When her parents confronted her about her conduct, she struggled. I don't care, was her only response. I don't understand. Her mother told the pastor of the church. She seemed like she's a totally different girl than she was. So much in life is unpredictable. But God's love is what? Searching. Barbara Johnson. So this is a frequent drama that is faced by both men and women alike. So here, Dr. Gandhi and our sister Ute will help us with this story of depression.
Before I left for further studies, you prayed for me here, and while I was away, you continued to pray for me. I'm grateful. I brought Saraba, and the Saraba is not a physical one, so you're going to learn something new today. So I want everybody to say, Ohio gozaimasu. Ohio gozaimasu. Okay, so if I say Ohio gozaimasu, you have to repeat it after me. Ohio gozaimasu. Okay, that means good morning in Japanese. So for those of you who see me and say, did you learn Chinchong? That's not how it sounds. Okay. Alright, so Ohio gozaimasu means good morning. Today we're here to talk about depression and suicide, especially as it affects our community. It's going to be a very casual conversation. It's not a lecture. Your faces are a bit scary to me, so if I fumble, I will blame you. So let's learn together. We're all learning. The analogy I want to use is that doctors learn the theory, but you see, a lot of doctors have not experienced many of the ailments they treat. the patients have more experience about the ailments than the doctors do. So we might know the theory of some of these things, but you know the practicals. So we're going to learn all together. Psychological disorders, mental disorders, it means behavior patterns, thoughts, actions that are deviate from cultural and social norms, or that cause personal distress, or that make someone dysfunctional, impacts their daily life, makes them not able to do their day-to-day activities. So one of the most common mental disorders is depression. It's very common, and we may know one or two people who have suffered depression or who are currently suffering depression. It's so common that the World Health Organization says that over 300 million people worldwide experience depression. That's more than the population of Nigeria as a whole. So it's a very large number. And in Nigeria, they say about 4% of the population suffers depression. That's about 7 million people. I guess that's more than the population of Plateau States entirely. So a lot of people suffer it. And in my personal opinion, I think that's even underreported, because we know that in our society, mental health is not really discussed, and it's not easy for people to review what they're going through. So it may really be underreported here. Depression affects people of all backgrounds. It doesn't care about social status. It doesn't care about age or gender. So both male and female, rich and poor, famous, infamous, it could affect the individual. But it's also more common amongst women. So more women get depressed than men, and there's several reasons for that. Okay, so he said I should give some of the reasons. One reason is gender roles. Research shows that depression occurs more amongst people who have passive and dependent behaviors. So we know that culturally, most cultures, women are the passive ones and they are the dependent ones, while men are sort of encouraged to be active and independent. So it occurs more amongst women. Another reason is abuse. People who suffer physical abuse, sexual abuse are more prone to depression. And in society, women are also more likely to be abused. So those are some of the reasons why. Of course, again, mothers with young children, they have a lot to balance, balancing the home, balancing taking care of the children. And another reason is poverty. Poverty is also one of the reasons why people may get depressed. And if there's poverty in the home, the most hit is the woman, because she is the one, the man could anyway, let me not make controversial statements. I was about to say the man can eat and go sleep well, but the mother has to think of what her children will eat before she.
If we are in the office with the friends. If we are in the office with the friends.
Something like that, or drink pepper soup and then come back home and go to bed. But the mom has to think of the children. So those are some of the reasons why it's more common in women. Well, it's open for discussion. When it's time, you can raise your own opinions. All right. So what then is depression? It's a mental disorder that is characterized by a sad, empty, or irritable mood, and that causes significant impairments in the person's daily function. Being sad is a normal emotion. It's not just normal sadness, We go through the hassles of life. You meet disappointments. You want to go out, you have an appointment, and then you meet traffic on the way. And somewhere you're supposed to get to in 10 minutes, it takes you 1 hour. You get irritated. You get upset. That's normal. You lose a loved one. A relationship breaks up. You get upset. That's normal. But in terms of depression, it's causes significant impairment. The person is not able to function. It affects they may not feel like going to work. They may wake up and not take care of their physical body, not comb their hair. They're very forgetful and things like that. So depression is different from the normal daily sadness or sadness that's caused by the things we encounter daily in life. The next thing I want to talk about is what depression feels like. What does depression feel like? So some of us may have experienced a bit of it, maybe not clinical, maybe not diagnosed, so you understand a bit of what it feels like. But there are two quotes here that I want to read out that maybe captures what people who go through depression feel. One of them says, "I am now the most miserable man living. If what I feel were equally distributed to the whole human family, there would not be one cheerful face on earth. Whether I shall ever be better, I cannot tell. To remain as I am is impossible. I must die or be better." So this is the burden that some people carry. It feels so heavy on them that they feel that there are only two options. It's either they die or they feel better, completely back to the way they used to be before. And the next quote I got from The Guardian of April 2016, not the Nigerian Guardian anyway. And it says, "I start to mumble when I walk or become unable to walk in a straight line. I am more clumsy and accident prone. There is a heavy leading feeling in your chest, rather as someone you love dearly has died, but no one has, except perhaps you. You feel acutely alone." So this describes some of the feelings they go through. They feel like they have lost someone, but no one has died, except that a part of them feels dead. A part of them feels like it's no longer alive. What are some of the symptoms of depression? Not everyone exhibits all of these symptoms. Not all the symptoms will be obvious. In fact, for most depressed people, they may not be aware of the symptoms, except others who are around them who observe these things. And the first one is sadness, excessive crying. The person cries for no reason, or they become highly emotional. So things that should ordinarily not make them cry would cause them to cry. It may be that they were cooking and the food burnt, and the person will just burst out in tears, So it doesn't make sense. It's irrational, but it causes tears. So they may be very sad, very gloomy, and excessive crying. And then there's feelings of guilt. The person feels guilty about things that may also not make sense, or things that do make sense, but at this point they should have gone past it. So it may be guilt over something in their past, something that happened in their past. It may be guilt over something that doesn't even concern them. Someone had an accident and you weren't the cause of the accident, but you feel guilty over it, that maybe you should have been able to do something. Some feel worthless. They feel like they have no worth. Even when they achieve something great that they should be commended for, they don't want to take credit for it because they feel they are worthless. And then there's hopelessness too. Some feel hopeless that they can't do anything in life well. And then there's a lack of interest in activities. Activities they used to be interested in before, things they used to enjoy doing, maybe games, reading books, going to watch a movie, visiting friends, things that were normal and interesting to them. They lose interest. You tell the person, let's go here, and he or she is no longer interested in doing that. Or it may not necessarily be things that they used to be interested in, but ordinary things in life, waking up and cleaning the house. The person may lose interest in doing just such simple activities, grooming themselves, going to cut their hair, taking a shower. They may lose interest in those ordinary activities. And then they could be highly irritable or cranky. They get irritated easily, something happens and the reaction is much more than the events that occurred. That's another symptom. Some have difficulty, like cognitive problems, difficulties concentrating, maybe in class or when someone is talking to them. They have difficulty remembering things or making decisions, just simple decisions. What do you want to eat? White rice or jollof? And the person is so indecisive, they're not able to make decisions. And then reduced energy. This is very visible most times. The person feels fatigued. They don't have any energy to do any task, even the simplest tasks. Move from here to here, and it seems like a very huge body, a very huge thing to do. Some have sleep disturbances. This is also very common. It could be insomnia or it could be hypersomnia. So it means they have difficulty falling asleep. Or even when they do fall asleep, they may wake up in the middle of the night and not be able to go back to bed. They lie awake thinking of different things. Or they may sleep but wake up much earlier than they prepared to do. And then some, on the other extreme, sleep excessively. So they sleep so much that, even during the day when they should be at work or doing something productive, they are sleeping. And sleep is like a way of escaping their reality. It's a way of forgetting what is going on. It just helps you not have to think about your present reality. For others also, it's eating disturbances. So some may lose appetite, they can't eat. For a few, it's excessive eating. They eat to make up for what they are feeling. So because of that, some would lose weight and some would gain weight, depending on whether it's a loss of appetite or excessive eating. And then there's this negative self-evaluation. They think negatively about themselves. They think they're inferior, they're unattractive. It's tied to the worthlessness. They're not good at anything. I'm the most stupid person on earth. Nobody loves me. I'm miserable and so on. So they evaluate themselves negatively, and then also feel like they cannot accomplish intellectual tasks. So you say, do this. I don't think I can do it. I don't think I know how to do it, and things like that. And then they also have a pessimistic view of the world, They view the world in a very negative way. The future seems bleak. Those people who the glass is always half empty, no matter what good thing happens, they always see the negative, so they have a pessimistic view about those things. And then there's something called psychomotor retardation. For some, they begin to speak more slowly. Their speech is slower than normal. And for some, it even gets to the point of mutism. They don't speak at all. You're talking to the person, he doesn't respond. It gets to that point. And some begin to not only speak slowly, but even walk more slowly than usual. And then the most severe of all of this is suicide ideation. Some begin to think about death, the thoughts of death, and some would even attempt suicide. Suicide is self-directed injurious behavior with the aim to die. So you injure yourself so that you would die. And statistics show that women are more likely to commit suicide than men, because of course women are more likely to be depressed than men. On the other hand, men are more likely to die from suicide than women, because the means both use are kind of different. So while women are more likely to use more subtle means like swallowing pills and things like that, which means that at least if they are found early, they can still be safe. Men are more likely to use more lethal means that will just end their lives almost immediately. So while women attempt it more, men are more likely to die from it. I just want to note that there are a few cultural differences in depression. Most things are cut across all cultures, but one of the cultural differences is feelings are not so important in some cultures like ours. Like if you see a child looking with a long, drawn, gloomy face and you ask what's wrong with you, it's very unlikely for the child to say, I am depressed here. because for us, it's not, when I'm asked this question, I tell people that we don't usually describe our depression in terms of feelings, and it's the same. Research shows in some cultures, like China too, we most times use somatic symptoms, so we describe it in body feelings, because if your child tells you, I am depressed in Nigeria, you tell them they don't have a problem. What are you depressed about? Do you pay the rent? Do you go to work? We don't take it as something important. But if the child says, my body is paining me, my head is paining me, you take it more seriously and you ask more questions. So we tend to show it in somatic symptoms. But some people who complain about somatic symptoms, when it's depression related, you find that even when they receive treatments, they don't get better because that's not the real problem. And so there are different types of depression. Depression comes in different severities. There is the mild, there's the moderate, there is the severe, and there are also different types. I've listed a few here, but I'm not sure we need to know all of them, so I'll just talk about a few. One is major depression, major depressive disorder. It's also called clinical depression, to separate it from the normal sadness. So with clinical depression, the person feels some of those symptoms, not all of them. Not all people feel all those symptoms all at once. Some will feel some will not feel some of them. Okay, so the person feels that at least 5 of those symptoms for at least 2 weeks for it to be diagnosed as major depressive disorder. So it's not just the normal sadness. They feel it for a certain amount of time, a certain duration, almost all day, and at least 5 of those symptoms. Then there is the other one called the persistent depressive disorder. In this case, it's more chronic. So it goes on for at least 2 years. So the person feels some of the symptoms for at least 2 years. That's in adults. But in children, it goes on for at least 1 year. And then there are some depressive disorders that are related to the seasons. It's called seasonal affective disorder. So especially in countries where they have winter and very long winters, in winter you have longer nights and shorter days. So in some countries, before it's 4 p.m., it's already dark. So some people experience depression in that season. And then there's the one called the premenstrual dysphoric disorder. Some women experience depression just before they have their menstrual cycle, and then when it finishes, they feel better. Okay, so these are the different types of depression. There's another one called bipolar. It means that the person experiences 2 different opposite episodes. So they have experienced what is called mania. In the mania stage, they are highly energetic, impulsive, they have a lot of energy, they make rash decisions, they make poor judgments. They could just go out and maybe they have 100,000 and that 100,000 is for their rent. But when they're in that manic state episode, they could go out and just dash it out, go somewhere and buy things for everybody. That's poor judgment when you have a need at home. So in that manic stage, they have the rapid speech, they speak very rapidly, they have flight of ideas. The person is talking about politics right now, next they move on to the weather, next they move on to Boko Haram, when you have not finished tackling one topic. And then, they could have delusions of grandeur. The person tells you, do you know I was Obama's classmate? When you know that he has never been to the Jos Airport before, where did you meet Obama? So they have some grandiose ideas. And then when that episode is done, then they go into a depressive episode. So 1 minute they have high energy, the next minute very low energy, fatigue, gloomy, feeling guilt, and guilt for maybe all of the poor judgments they made while in the manic state and so on. So that's called bipolar. They have 2 different extreme episodes. So I'll stop here for now, and my colleague Dr. Kandi will talk about the causes. Thank you.
Thank you. I certainly will cry if I don't have another replacement for the food I'm cooking and it gets burnt. I don't know. Are there people like me here? No replacement. That's the only chop for today. And it's burnt. How about God? Okay.
Praise the Lord. Hello. Once again, good morning. When I was told to lead the discussion on courses, my first thought was, don't you think I will even cause the congregation to become depressed? Because to me, it's a very tricky exercise. Then I know that with all your experiences, we can learn together. Okay? Causes of depression. Number one, what exactly causes depression is not known. As we discuss. Number two, depressive illness, just like any other mental illness, emerges due to interplay of predisposing factors and precipitating factors as mediated by perpetuating factors. So I think I'm achieving my aim. I want to prepare the congregation. Okay? And what that simply means is there is no just single cause of depression. But we can lay hand on it and say, this is the cause of depression. There must be an interplay of certain factors to push one to actually experience depression. And those factors are categorized into three. The first one is referred to as predisposing factors. Predisposing factors are some are usually biological in nature, where others are usually personality characteristics. Those that are biological in nature include problems with the brain chemistry, altered functioning of neurotransmitters in the brain, problems with our hormonal balance, harsh experience during early life stage. Those are some of the biological predisposing factors. Personality predisposing factors include certain personality traits that actually make one vulnerable to experience depression if other factors added their own effect in later life. Those personality traits include low self-esteem, nature of hopelessness, and pessimistic nature. Those personality traits alone cannot cause depression. Those biological factors I mentioned earlier alone cannot cause depression. There has to be other factors in later life that will complicate them to push one into experiencing depressive illness. Those other factors, as I earlier mentioned, are referred to as predisposing factors. These could be anything in life. Probably traumatic or stressful events, alcoholism or drug abuse, family conflicts, social problems, bad You can't exhaust them. Anything whatsoever that can increase the risk of experiencing depression is referred to as precipitating factor in this context. Now, the third category of factors that actually contribute to causing depression, as I earlier mentioned, is referred to as perpetuating factors. You know, we talk of predisposing factors as the foundation block, okay? We now talk of precipitating factors as other issues that contributed on that block. Now the next thing is perpetuating factors. By perpetuating factors, we mean anything or situation or event or object that could make one to enjoy remaining in that situation of depressiveness. That's perpetuating factor. For instance, lack of sleep. For instance, any situation you find yourself that actually make you to be more depressed. You know, the patient always enjoy being in such situation. That's why they are factors, perpetuating factors, because they actually deteriorate the condition. Already you are experiencing the condition. These factors make you deteriorate it. And that's why they are believed to contribute to causing depression. So you can see from the three categorizations, we can say that it's a single factor that is actually responsible for causing depression. But what is important in this context is that from the three factors, one must be dominant in this case. Depressive illness is a case-by-case issue. One factor must be dominant. We always consider the dominant factor as this is what is responsible for his or her depressive illness. But that is not completely true. It's just that it is dominant over the many two. So that is how the causes of depression will be summarized. Okay? In addition to that, causes of depression have been discussed according to a theology of mood disorders. I hope we remember that depressive illness is one of the major categories of mood disorders. So its causes have also been discussed according to a theology of mood disorders. And based on that model, depressive illness has been explained in terms of its causation as related to psychodynamic explanation, behavioral explanation, cognitive explanation, and sociocultural explanation. All those sub-models contributed to our understanding of what depression, of how depressive illness emerges. According to psychodynamic explanation, the emphasis should be on separation and anger. Separation in this context refers to losing a dear one, whether by way of death, transfer, or relationship dislocation, or anything. That is what separation in this context means. And psychodynamic explanation hinges so much on that. It tells us that when you are separated from a loved one, such as spouse, lover, child, parent, and any other significant person in your life, that the feeling of anger sets in. And as anger persists, if you are not allowed to grieve properly, you know, in every separation there's grieving. It's not only death that causes grieving. Okay? there is a great danger as a result of that separation. Because the complications of not expressing your agreement the way you should will manifest a lot of depressive symptoms. And that tells that denial sends you into experiencing depressive illness. The issue of anger is also connected with separation, as I said earlier. When you lose a dear one, by whichever means, how you feel the pain, anger sets in. And anger is normally associated with some sense of guilt. You feel guilty, even when you are not the cause of the separation, or even if you are the cause of the separation, the guilt may persist unnecessarily, which is irrational. And that makes us to be thinking of probably process of separation going on in your system. So that means if there is any separation of any kind, according to psychodynamic explanation, we are expected to allow the individual that is experiencing the effect of separation to express his grief in the way he so wished to express it. I was somehow not happy one day, but after 30 minutes, I was very happy. Why? It was around this environment. We were here for a funeral service of a member. Okay? When we were coming in, one of the relations of that member that died was crying profusely. And somebody was ignorantly trying to deny that lady not to cry, bringing a lot of reasons as to why she should cry. Whereas, from all judgments, his reasons were not rational at all. He was only trying to play some, do I say, parapsychological misnomer. Okay? But as I said earlier, after those 30 minutes, I became therapy again. Why? As we got into the hall, this auditorium, when it was time for Professor Garadima to give some presentation, during that period, as he read from the scripture, after he gave a background to what the message is communicating to us, he paused and said, "Ladies and gentlemen, if you feel like crying, cry the way you want to cry." I said, "Cry sincerely." And as I could see his face, he truly meant it. Honestly, I almost stood up and said, "Well, I've done it." Because anybody experiencing separation goes through some kind of grieving. And what is right is for us to allow that person to express his or her grieving. Otherwise, it leads to something else. And that something could possibly be depressive illness. Okay? So, what we need to do by way of supporting that person is not to deny that person expressing his or her grieving, but instead, we are supposed to provide social support, encouragement, motivation by our behaviors. The way of manner we behave to people is a message, especially in times like that. That is psychodynamic explanation. According to behavioral explanation, we understand that depressive illness is associated also with separation. But this time around, the separation is not connected to issues of grieving or anger. But behaviorists believe separation demands other sources of reinforcement. Okay? By depression, it means anybody who is separated and is feeling the effect of that separation needs support, needs empowerment, needs encouragement. That is what the Bible says. And I align with them because if I am feeling down because of what happened to me, and instead of you to behave yourself in such a manner that when I look at you, I feel encouraged, you rather, well, probably judging me or denying me not to do what I should do. It shouldn't be so. Okay? And this perspective also focuses on the fact that if a depressed person is still in that mood, it goes to tell that his or her separation could not expire from his system. And that means there were no resources enough in his or her environment or family to help towards pushing away the effect of his or her separation. That's what the Bible says. And that actually challenged me. It means if I have colleagues, fellow brothers and sisters, my family members, or close associates experiencing depression due to separation, it means I have a role to play. That's what the Bible is emphasized. It means I have a role to play. A role of behaving the way that person will be encouraged, providing social support that person will rely on. Because that separation created vacuum. The cognitive model tells us that the depressive process could be as a result of faulty thinking style. It could be as a result of faulty perception about whatever that could be the factors that interplay to cause the problem. And that means if I perceive what happened to me problem in the right way, that will minimize me putting myself into depressive illness. But if there is faulty perception, it goes a long way in increasing the risk of falling into depressive illness. So ladies and gentlemen, the advice is, whenever something happens to you, no matter what is that, try as much as possible to perceive that issue the right way. Because faulty perception poses great danger to your health. The cognitive model also emphasizes that when you perceive wrongly, or when you have a faulty belief about situations, you will most likely begin to look at yourself as if you are not worthy of anything, as if you are not somebody who is important to anybody on earth. You begin to think, my life is not worth living. The socio-cultural perspective emphasizes that our communal life, our family issues are very, very crucial. Otherwise, we are only preparing ground for some of us to easily fall into depressive illness. Because it is.
Okay, let's give God some time to recollect on the next point of managing depression. But before we continue, we want to play you a song, or we want to give you opportunity to write the questions. So while this song is being played, we want you to write your questions that you send up here. So we just need a time for you to refresh up. Okay? So we want to play a song. We have a guest artist who came all the way from Nepal. He's going to give us a very good rendition. So we want you to write out your questions if you have questions. Any pressing questions? But if you have a good testimony, that will also be great. Sound. That song says it's too hard to love you, go, but it's actually an expression. If your wife is by you, please, mommy, give your husband a good hug and say, Happy Father's Day. So find your husband where your husband is and give him a hug. Breastfeeding now, so when you get home, he will give you a very good hug. Okay, so we just want doctor to take the next 3 minutes to summarize on managing stress and depression.
All right. You're welcome back. Management of depressive illness. Well, at home, you can manage mild depressive illness, okay, by observing your lifestyle, okay, by socializing with others, by engaging in physical activities. All these that I'm mentioning, not that you will just happily do them. You must force yourself to do them. Because if it's actually depressive illness, you will not have the interest to do those things. But be motivated, force yourself to get engaged, if it is at home. And that could be mild depressive illness. But in terms of full-blown depressive illness, that has to be in the hospital. And here, the management includes medication. I will only mention their groupings. Medication using antidepressants, anxiolytics, antipsychotics, and other drugs as the doctor feels suitable for your own health and personality. The next category is therapy. Therapies in this case include cognitive behavioral therapy, group therapy, occupational therapy, and other related therapies as the clinicians deem fit based on their assessment of your issue. The next issue in depressive illness is nutrition. It could be loss of appetite. It could be his own depression is psychotic depression that is associated with hallucinations and delusions. You know, the commands from hallucination and delusion will instruct them not to eat anything because eating those things is dangerous. So therefore, you take nutrition seriously when managing a depressive patient. So also, recreation and exercise. There has to be routine of those activities and then ensure sound sleep. Otherwise, there could be complications. Thank you very much.
So we are grateful that your questions are coming in. I can see the questions coming in. And very soon we will return to those questions. But I want to thank our sister, Ms. Ope Yakubu, and it's Shaku. Yakubu. I hope Yakubu is coming. Okay, she's actually okay, Ishaku. And then Dr. Gandhi, thanks for helping us out. So we want to round up with a Christian perspective. They have talked about, some perspectives, but let's look at what the Bible will say about this. In the next few minutes, we'll be through with this. Okay? So, the first thing I want to say concerning this is that it is a perspective of a Christian, no authoritative position. Is that clear? And we want to say, put your head on the chest of God and what? And weep. Put your what? Put your head where? On the chest of God and do what? And weep. Most of the time, people will think it is not going to be, good if you really try to weep because you've had a problem. Now, somebody said, and that's the psalmist, David, I have no food, but yes, day and night. And all day long, men say to me, where is your God? So depression is a common universal condition that varies in terms of symptoms, severity, origin, and duration, and that affects large segments of the population. Some statistics put it up to 26%. Now, depression is characterized by feeling of sadness. I'm summarizing what our panelists said. Low self-esteem, worthlessness, helplessness, and lack of hope. Thinking characterized by negative thoughts, self-criticism, pessimism, and sometimes self-destructive, tendency or self-destruction, and that will also be suicidal. Thinking characterized by negative thoughts, self-criticism, what we call pessimism, and also what? Hope. Are we there? So I want you to see this picture. This guy is actually looking at what? What is he looking at? Behavior that is marked by apathy, a sense of inertia, social withdrawal, and sometimes a negative of normal duties or personal hygiene. Physical symptoms including fatigue, loss of energy, lack of interest or normal activity, loss of appetite, and compelled about aches, complaining about aches and pains. The Bible does not use the term depression, but it describes what we call the experience of being down, sad, downcast, discouraged. In most places, the experiences is linked to hope in God. Now, biological genetics, doctors spoke about that, and the background of our family can influence us as we go through it. But stress and significant loss, learning, from our hopelessness and the impact of negative thinking, anger, and sin and guilt can also be some of the causes that bring about depression. Social and environmental causes arise from stressful environment. But one thing you need to understand is that not all storms that come to your life come to disrupt your life. some of them come to clear your path. So some depression are just really good to help you think well. I like the response. So what do we need to do here? We need to come to the place to see effects of depression, and it includes unhappiness, inefficiency, physical illness, decreased sexual interest, low self-esteem, withdrawal, and in most serious cases, suicide. Dealing with the physical causes and the symptoms of it, we come to the place to see that you and I need to base both ways. Faith-based, that is being born again, and then antidepressant medication, which the doctors will prescribe for you. Working to resolve the impact of psychological cause and helping people change their thinking, guiding them in the behavior changes will also be a good way to help people who are affected. Assisting counselors in coping with environmental influences, guiding in behavioral changes, and developing social support. Identify and taking action to prevent suicide. This involves knowing the signs that indicates what we call a possible suicidal attempt or suicidal attempt. And to prevent depression, we must be ready to help people by being what I call excellent listeners. What will it mean to be an excellent listener? Let's just go through this quickly. Decide that listening to your spouse, your friend, or your child is the most important thing you have to do at the moment. That means turning off the TV, music, video, and phone, putting down the newspaper or magazine, and turning to look at your spouse, your friend, or the child with the eye contact directly. Focus your full attention on what your spouse, your friend, or the child is saying. Listen to the words, the body language, and the tone of words. This means listening with your ears and your eyes, and with your mind and with your heart. Trying to understand how your spouse, your friend, or that child is feeling, not just what they are saying. Don't interrupt. And this is the one I like, but I find myself guilty. While your spouse, your friend, or your child is talking, even if you feel that they are saying it and it is not correct, wait and listen carefully until you have heard the whole story. Ask questions until you are sure you understand what he or she means. Pray passionately, honestly and fervently for those people who are depressed. Patiently encourage your friend to talk with, out or drawing them. Empathize with him or her, affirm him or her, direct him or her to another person or people who could be of help. Enlist him or her into your small group immediately. Teach him or her love and how to love themselves. Change the environment if possible. Try to use camps and vacations. Refer to what we call professionals when you need to get help. So, teach your friends to have honest and be honest with God by speaking out freely how they feel to God, and at times take a deep breath and what? Cry hard if it means, and well as well. Teach your spouse, your friend, or your child to forgive the unforgivable, and teach your friends to tame the monster that is envy and resentment. They always show up unexpectedly. Grow to the pain. And Psalm 6, verse 1 to 10, but I'm going to read from verse 6 to the end. I'm worn out from sobbing. All night I floored my bed with weeping, drenched it with my tears. My vision is blurred by grief. My eyes are worn out because of all my enemies. Go away, all you who do evil, for the Lord has heard my weeping. The Lord has heard my plea. The Lord will answer my prayer. May all my enemies be disgraced and terrified. May they suddenly turn back in shame. So, brethren, as we conclude, no matter what we face in life, don't let go of what? Of God's word. Amen? Never, ever give up. Can you turn to somebody and say, never, ever give up? So in conclusion, we say hopelessness and despair are the cloth and depression wears. They take the cloth meaning in them like a suit of cloth by becoming invisible. I can only see just shallow. I can touch it or remember which it feels like. And then Pamela tells us that. So, one book that can help you is Living with Tongues, a biblical survival guide. This is a good resource that you can have and it will help. And I will tell you a little secret before I conclude. I get very mad at God sometimes, especially when He lets me get hurt. This is a pretty well kept secret, especially amongst evangelicals and evangelicals. Evangelicals and fundamentals. So, my last comment here will be, don't do something permanently stupid just because you are temporarily upset. Amen. So let's go to our questions, as many as we can pick in the next few minutes, and we hope that it will help us go to. Pastor Guza has picked some questions, and I want him to respond to the ones he has picked. Pastor said, okay, at the end. Okay, Pastor would prefer to respond when he comes up. Family life members, where are your questions? I thought you were the ones holding this.
Dr. Gandhi, but I will attempt to answer it. It says you spoke about letting a sad person to express his grief by weeping. What about the implications of grieving? Won't it lead to a more critical situation? So this person is concerned that if we let a person who is grieving grieve too long, won't it complicate the issue? Of course, there's no specific timeline to grieving. There's no timeline that says in 1 month you should be done or in 6 months you should be done. However, there's a difference between normal grieving and depression. And you will tell, those who are around the person will be able to tell the difference. For instance, I lost, Apostle Guruza mentioned that I was bereaved of my brother. I lost my brother in April, right? And this is what, June. We grieved as a family and we're still grieving. However, that has not stopped me from coming to church. It has not stopped me from going to work. There are times I see something about my brother and I may still cry. There are times I remember something about him and I would laugh. But with a depressed person, it's not like that. It is constant depressed mood. You know, if someone at this point is still not able to function daily, still not able to go to work, is still not able to clean their house or groom themselves, then you know that it has gone beyond grieving. It has gone beyond grieving. So although there's no timeline, because of course grieving also depends on the culture. In some cultures, in 2 weeks you are done. In fact, after 2 weeks, if you have lost a spouse, maybe you can remarry. In some cultures, they have a stipulated time within which you cannot do anything. You still have to show some signs. You still have to wear certain clothes. So there are cultural differences, but at the same time, there are general rules. You can tell when someone has let me use the word overgrieved, because depression, we say, significantly impacts function. It's not just sadness, but they are not able to function daily. So when it has reached that stage, you should know that it has gone beyond the normal grieving. So I hope I've been able to answer that question.
Someone said, what do you do when you have a severe heartbreak?
I don't think I have the answer to that. Everyone is different. In psychology, there's something we call individual differences. The way someone handles a particular situation is different from the way another person handles it. I will use the analogy of pregnancy and childbirth. Some women feel no pain, when they describe it, they say, oh, I just went in and I had the baby even before I knew it, But for some women, they go days, they are in labor and they are in pain, They are both women, they both have babies. Some actually need medical help, they need to do a C-section. So it's the same thing. Psychological pain and mental pain is the same thing. It's different for each individual. So I would just say that if you have a severe heartbreak, one, know that time heals all wounds. It may not make sense to you at that point, but in the end it will make sense when you look at the big picture. Some people make jokes that, sometimes when they see their exes, they wonder, how did I even date this person in the first place? But when they were going through that pain, it seemed like the world was going to end. And then years later, you see the person and say, I can't believe it, was I blind? So time does heal wounds. And then secondly, you need to surround yourself with a supportive network. Don't keep to yourself, don't isolate yourself, because that's where the enemy will fester. He will bring, sometimes when we are going through pain, we listen to certain music that aggravates the situation, that makes you cry more. You want to watch movies that at the end, when you see Happily Ever After, you begin to weep. That's not what you should be doing, because it reminds you of what has not happened to you. At that time, you need a supportive network of friends. That's why as a church, we need to build strong connections of families, of friends, of colleagues, and so on. You need to know what your children go through, interact with them, not to find faults. I know that it's difficult in our culture. When your parents are asking you questions, you're already suspicious. Where is this leading to? Interact with your children genuinely, so that when they have such difficulties, they can come and tell you. They don't have to hide it from you, and you can guide them. The fact that your parents are married shows that they know about love, they understand it too, and they can guide you. I think that. And then please, when they come to you for help, this may be a bit controversial, but it's not every time this is church, but it's not every time we quote scripture to people. Sometimes people want to relate with you on a human level. They want to know that you are also human, you also experience these things. When you quote scripture, they know the scripture sometimes, but they are still hurting despite knowing that scripture. So you can share your own experiences that you have been through this before. By seeing you, we call it modeling. When they see that someone has gone past this and has survived, they have hope that they too can go past it. And when they begin to get better, then you can introduce scripture and they are more receptive to it than when they are down.
I see this guy and I just hate him. How do I forgive? Okay. What the doctor would do, would you allow to do, right? Actually what she said, one of my mentor's wife said the same thing. She was in the seminary, and the guy said, God said, you are the one. And then after some time, he took his and ran away. And guess what? After coming back with her PhD, she met him in her class. And she said, you see now, I deal with you. They will say I'm bad. Don't worry, when they say they don't want to stay, let them go. She said, go, time will heal. The young shall grow. I thought the young guys would have clapped.
Hello. I have two questions here. The first one says, at what point does religion, society, or medicine meet in the cause and management of depression? Okay? Yeah, both religion and society have a lot to contribute in terms of management. Okay? Anyway, we are talking of religion. The person asking the question didn't say Christianity. He said religion. Okay? There are religious groups that actually serve as precipitating factors towards suffering mental illness. Okay? And there are religious groups that could indoctrinate certain things that one would falsely believe, especially if that person's personality makeup is the type that is vulnerable to delusion. He ended up with false belief, which lead to a lot of depressive symptoms. So religion, yes, has something to contribute in causation of depression, if you are talking of religion. Okay? In terms of management, yeah, there are some religious groups that contribute greatly to managing mental illness, not only depression. I said all mental illness. There are religious groups that contribute greatly to managing mental illness. Unfortunately, most of the times, the factors responsible for such mental illness have not been identified on time, and it became a problem to such religious groups. But if one is able to identify the causative factors at the early stage, religious groups do that effectively. The next question talks about it is possible for some people suffering from depression to feel their behavior is normal. How do you encourage or help such people? Yeah. If a depressive patient is feeling that his or her behavior is normal, then that is a depressive patient. Hello? But if a depressive patient or any kind of mentally ill patient is feeling and even manifesting or reporting that he's not normal, then that person is recovering from that illness. Is that clear? So it is almost usual. I mean, it is the expected thing. If a full-blown depressed patient is feeling as if he or she is normal, or is reporting as if he or she is normal, that's what we expect. Okay?
Someone said, please help me out. Right now, I'm facing a serious problem. My leave allowance is due, and my organ has refused to give me permission to go to leave, and is refusing to pay me. That person is already angry. And what he really wants to do with the organ is to finish it up in the office. How can I cope with this? Please, I will refer you to the pastor. The pastor has the anointing to really break that yoke. So the person that wrote this, come to the pastor after service, and you and he will have a very warm chat. Okay? Yes, very fast.
Okay, sorry, my previous contribution, I just want to add that it was about someone with severe heartbreak. I didn't mention that you should talk to someone, talk to somebody, if someone trusted, or seek help if you think that it's too severe. Talk to someone, don't keep to yourself, just to add that. The question I have here says, you said most women get depressed when menstruating. Can you please throw more light on that? Okay, not most women though, not most women, some women. And so they feel all of those irritability, sadness, fatigue, and it's not related to pain. It's related to their period, and it's more or less due to some hormonal issues going on in the body at that time of the month. So they feel all of these symptoms and are unable to function, to do their daily activities. Ideally, you should be able to still go up. I mean, a woman's period is not an illness. You should be able to go about your activities unless there's pain. But in this case, there's no pain. It's just a mood issue. A mood issue that is now interfering with their life, with their day-to-day activities, day-to-day tasks. It's mostly due to hormonal imbalance, and the person may require, if it is very severe, that for maybe almost a week you are unable to do something, they may require medication and some therapy and counseling. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Our time is up. We want to thank Dr. Gandhi for giving us his time and blessing us today. And we want to thank our sister, Ms. Utek Ishaku. Those who have eyes, please. We just want to make, this good comment. I want to summarize this response with this. Praise my soul, the King of heaven. To his feet thy tribute bring. Ransomed, healed, restored, forgiving. Who like thee his praise shall sing? Praise him, praise him, praise the everlasting King. Amen.
Amen. It is very clear that the questions we have been able to respond to are not even up to 1/3 of the questions sent in. So a suggestion came while we were on the Family Life Committee that this should be considered as an introduction to dealing with the issue on depression. Am I speaking somebody's mind? Yes. Okay, so you have heard. In view of that, I will already begin to speak for the committee. I'm already setting an agenda for you. Now, one thing I know from our schedule, we have one Family Life Sunday every quarter. The next one is coming on the 8th of September. And I know we have people visiting. Now, the solution to your challenge is the video will be posted in our website. You have the website next in the bulletin. You can connect to that. And not immediately. I don't suppose it's going to be live streaming. I'm not sure yet. If that is going to be, you can check it on the website. I'm sure some notices will be posted regarding the Family Life Sunday. In case you're not able to connect or be here with us because you're coming from a distant place. But if there's going to be anything, I'm sure this is how we're going to do it. I know that the plan for the next Family Life Sunday is going to be a weekend. So we begin to prepare for that. It's going to be a weekend from a Friday or maybe from a Saturday and a Sunday. that will be communicated in due course. So forgive me, I am not going to respond to a single question because time has gone past already. Let us make do with the questions that have been responded to, but I can assure you that these questions we will not throw them away. We will keep them and begin with them as we reintroduce these issues. Thank you for your patience. I know some are actually of the opinion that no, let's continue with the questions. But we're sorry, junior church will be out in a moment. And the moment that happens, parents with children, they will be disorganized. And then that will be the end of the matter. So thank you, thank you. I want to thank the Family Life Committee. Some of the members are here sitting in front, some are within. May I add that if there are things you know you need to discuss, I am very sure that the pastors of this church are not enough to attend to all of us. So we have a team of counselors and we have members of the Family Life Committee. Now, those of us that are part of the counseling team, whether premarital or other, please let me have you stand. And the Family Life Committee as well. Let me have you stand wherever you're seated. The Bukamas are not standing. These are just a few that we can see right now that are part of the counseling team. Okay. I know we have some that are trained even theologically, that our faculty members are here at church. Let me have them also start. Okay? Okay, so a few are standing right now. Alright. Thank you. You may take your seats. These are just a few of the resources that a problem is brewing in the life of that individual. If you have been genuinely interested in the life of your children or your parents, you will observe that there is something happening in their lives. Because, especially with the scale of suicide we are observing in our country, that's why we decided to be proactive. You will certainly notice, even from their speeches, like one of those that somewhere in the South went and plunged himself in the river and he drowned himself. It was said that from his post on Facebook, people began to see that he was tending towards a direction. That individual could have actually been helped with some of those changes that people began to see. And some began to even post comments. Why are you talking like this? Why are you saying this and all that? But nobody did something proactive until that young man drowned himself in the river. So pay genuine attention. I like some of the issues that the panelists raised. That sometimes our children will tell you, if you say, are you okay? Say, I'm feeling pain in my body. It's not only about giving paracetamol, please. I think it is important if you genuinely engage them in some discussion to get to know deeply. And let's encourage one another to be expressive. Please. These are just a few I want to add so that we will be paying attention to this. But I'm aware also that about 2 weeks or so, the youth ministry began to focus also on issues of depression. And when we were applying, we actually didn't have full details until this weekend that we began to get to know more from the angle that has been handled. So we want to make it again next Family Life Sunday, or if something comes up before then, we will communicate so that we will take a weekend. The weekend is being planned, not with this topic in mind, but with the consensus. We may have to go back and treat the questions that have been raised, and they will serve as a vision. And if other questions will come up in the course of the weekend program, then they will also be handled. My only encouragement to us here is that when we call for that weekend, we will come. Because it's always a challenge. There are great things that we would love to treat, but most times we will say we don't have time. And believe me, when we say we don't have time, some of those things will follow us where we are having the time. I read part of this passage. I want to read it again as I join with Paul's benediction by way of closing. Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything, by prayer and petition with thanksgiving, present your request to God. And as is the character of Paul, whenever he is closing, he would say a grace. And I want to say this as we close. That may the peace, the grace, and the love of our Heavenly Father be with you now and forevermore. And may His glory continue to shine forth in your life now and forevermore. Amen. Go and dismiss.